Every year, unclaimed estates worth millions of pounds are handed over to long-lost relatives.
£1 million, here we go.
A visit from the Heir Hunters can change lives.
You know, he was an institution. This weekend's on Jimmy.
A crack team of investigators in Wigan are on the hunt for heirs to factory machinist James Cheetham, who died in September 2015. Born in 1945, he'd never married or had children, so researchers trawled birth records for any siblings.
We know that the mother's maiden name was Robinson. Obviously, the father's name was Cheetham. So we looked for any birth records with that combination of surnames. The certificate we found here was Mary Cheetham, born on the 28th of January 1943. She actually passed away when she was very young, and the death certificate's here. She passed away in 1943. So she was the only sibling to James.
The team need to ensure there are no half-blood siblings who would be next in line to inherit, and straight away they make a tragic discovery.
So what we would do usually is locate the parents' death certificates to make sure there'd been no subsequent remarriage of either parent. When we got those certificates, we discovered that James Cheetham's mother, Alice, had actually died in a railway crash.
With no siblings, James's cousins would be next in line to inherit, so researchers look into the maternal line.
So once we'd identified the mother, Alice Robinson, we knew what her parents were, the maternal grandparents. There was Samuel and Mary, and then we looked on the census record to see if I could identify all of Alice's siblings, and that showed that Samuel and Mary at that time in 1911 had actually had 4 children.
Ancestry records reveal Samuel and Mary had 2 more children after 1911, and the 1939 census uncovers a celebrity in the family.
So it looks very much as though Alice's 2 brothers followed their father's occupation. It shows Robert Robinson, who is a sibling to Alice, who works in a coal mine.
But Robert Robinson had ambitions outside of coal mining and became a star at the local wrestling club, the Snake Pit.
My dad used to talk about Bob Robber when he worked in the mines with him. And when I started wrestling at Riley's gym, he was the #1 wrestler there. Bob always wrestled under the name of Billy Joyce. He was very, very famous. Bob was the heavyweight champion, so Lord Mountbatten presented Bob Robertson with his Lord Mountbatten belt. He held it as long as I remember. Nobody ever challenged him for it.
Family records can reveal fascinating historical events, as the team found out when researching James's Aunt Elizabeth's stem.
She married Richard Gaskell in 1927, and that they had 3 children, 3 daughters, one of whom, Joan, had died in infancy in 1929.
Another daughter, May, married an American, Donald Woodall, in 1952.
We searched the records and we couldn't find any record of any births at all from her. So then the next step, obviously, is then to look for her death record.
Or to make sure that if she's alive,
Indeed.
she's an heir.
Indeed, she would be, you're quite correct. So then we found the death record here, and obviously it found something quite shocking, as you can see.
Well, that's her.
It is.
May Jean Woodall. Cause of death. Collision of train. She was in a train crash. Look.
She was.
She broke her neck. Fracture, dislocation of cervical vertebrae in a train crash.
Yeah.
Well, James's mother died in a train crash.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, too much of a coincidence. They must have both died in the same crash.
Yes, they did die in the same train crash, a real family tragedy. But the thing is, there was far worse to follow.
Both James's mother Alice and his cousin May Jean died in England's worst rail disaster on the 8th of October 1952 at Harrow and Wealdstone Station in northwest London. They were on the train coming from Perth, Scotland, which collided with 2 other trains, killing 112 passengers and injuring over 300 more. Heir Hunters still need to trace an heir to James's estate, so pull up records for the last stem of the maternal family tree, Aunt Elizabeth's eldest daughter, Joyce.
Our last hopes really were with Joyce, and Joyce we discovered married in 1959 to David Knight, but she passed away in 2015. We did the research and we discovered that she'd actually had 4 children, but one of those children, one of the heirs, Philip Knight, lived just round the corner from the Wigan office.
For me, it was always Uncle Jimmy. Even though him and my mum were cousins, it was a loss to me. It was like, you know, he was an institution. He was just always there. He was happy. Of course, Jimmy's, you know, biggest tragedy, losing his mum. My mum's job was to look after Jimmy. And with my mum losing a sister in the train disaster, this had drawn them together.
With Phil named as an heir to James's estate, he's making plans for his inheritance.
When I talked to my son about Jimmy, I said to him, why don't we go to Blackpool for the weekend? I couldn't think of any better way to sort of like say farewell to him and remember him. And it's like this weekend's on Jimmy, which I thought would be lovely and a fitting end and respectful.